Venerable sirs, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be the last speaker. Anyway, you have heard many things about Dalai Lama now and feel like congratulating him for living how many years? 87 years. Yes, 87. So we congratulate him, right? Because he was not supposed to live this long, right? He had a lot of enmity, and it's a magic that he managed to survive so far, right? Being hated by some very powerful political giants, right? So while congratulating, we offer him a happy birthday, right? And now my topic is actually many sides of his life is actually covered by former speakers about his humanity, about his religious leadership, exemplary personality, and everything, right, is covered. The thing that I am supposed to talk is about his activity of bridging science with religion, science and religion, right? These are two different subjects actually, because many people think that science and religion are sort of people who are to wrestle each other, wrestling like Dara Singh and King Kong. You remember that when we were infants, we were talking about these wrestlers. Like so, people think there is definite enmity between these two, religion and science, because when you talk of religion, you always think that people are praying for something, people are submitting to something unseen, right? So how can religion offer an opportunity to a scientist who is not willing to participate in such faithful activity? So I was really wondering, how come that a religious leader, for instance, when I remember the school days, during my school days, there was a Christian teacher who was teaching us. He asked, now Pope is the world leader of Christians. Who is the world leader of Buddhists? I had no answer, right? I had no answer, so I consulted someone who knew, and he said, who else other than Dalai Lama, right? So Dalai Lama actually supposed to be the world leader of Buddhists, even though, as our Venerable Mahanayaka Thera Vaskadwe Venerable Mahinda Vasatera spoke about the number of Mahanayakas, right, all over the world, but still, over all these Nayaka Theras, Dalai Lama stands as the living leader, right? And Mahayana Buddhists believe that he is an incarnation of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva is always willing to help us, right? It is believed that even when you are in a sort of a shipwreck situation, right, you just say Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattvaya Nama, you are helped. So such a magical power Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva has. Now he is reincarnated as Dalai Lama. That's the belief among Tibetan Buddhists, and a belief shared by many of the Mahayana Buddhists as well, right? So such a religious leader, right, it's actually a challenge that he has taken to meet the scientists in the 20th century. So I was reading a book on Einstein, how to think like Einstein, because I was actually supposed to compare Dalai Lama's thinking and the modern day people's thinking. We are all living in the scientific age, right? We have managed to come to 21st century. We are 21st century people. We are not supposed to be dogmatic. We are supposed to be scientific in our attitude, very progressive attitude. So in this context, where a lot of young people are forgetting religion now, even in Japan it is said that people are getting increasingly secular, becoming mundane rather in their thinking, right? In a situation like this, right, the world leader of Buddhists, right, we are going to compare how he bridged these two things, science and Buddhism, right? Actually, Immediately after he became a Nobel laureate, it was in 1990s, wasn't it? 1989, and immediately after he became a sort of Nobel laureate, he was asked to, he in fact volunteered to sit in a scientific conference with a lot of scientists, about 10 scientists. And after that, right, he wrote a book also. In fact, the result of this discussion, Universe in a Single Atom. Right? This shows that his thinking, right? His thinking is very much, that time it was 20th century, very much 20th century thinking, right? He was becoming a scientist, right? And very, very challenging, sometimes Venerables here may think it's a very challenging statement, right? Once he sort of made the public declaration that if something is proved, if something in Buddhism is proved as false, as meaningless by scientists, I reject that Buddhist teaching and join scientists, right? So he was making this very bold statement. It's a challenging, bold, and really someone would have not expected a person like Dalai Lama to say such a thing, right? I would prefer the scientific interpretation rather than the traditional Buddhist interpretation. So, right? Very strange, isn't it? Yeah, he said that because he was a real Buddhist. Only a real Buddhist can say that. Because Buddhism, right, is, although it's 26 centuries old, right, the Buddhism is actually the first expression of scientific approach. First expression of scientific approach, because Buddha said that anything that you find not to your intelligence, because Buddha believed very strongly about human capacity of knowing truth. It's not a monopoly of the Buddha to understand perfect truth. He shared it with all of us. According to Buddhism, yeah, all these Venerables are future Buddhas and myself and Dr. Porage. We will become Buddhas in future because it's our birthright. Our birthright to be Buddhas, and we become Buddhas by unprejudiced, logical, rational, bold thinking. So we must have courage to say no to anything false. We must have courage to challenge traditional thinking. The Buddha had it. Prince Siddhartha, if you analyze him correctly, said no to his traditional religion, said no to his parental values. He refused to accept traditional things. He was very revolutionary. That is what a scientist is supposed to do, right? Accept nothing irrational, accept nothing that we cannot verify. That is why the Dalai Lama, as the real Buddhist leader, said, if something is proved to be irrational in the scientific investigation, I would give up that. I wouldn't believe in that, right? And there are a lot of similarities he has found in science and Buddhism. In Buddhism, what the Buddha did actually was to find out causal relations of everything. We call it Paticca Samuppada. And Paticca Samuppada is so far the most scientific religious teaching. And science very strongly believes that the only way to know reality is to examine cause and effect. In fact, in my reading of this book, Einstein's book, and also I read The Buddha in Robo, one Japanese writer, Masahiro, right? he also says what we as scientists are doing is to investigate causality. So, in about 1959, in the magazine Universitas, there was an article by Bertrand Russell, and he actually gives the basic theorem, the sutra, basic sutra of causality. He puts it as when A happens, B happens. When A does not happen, B does not happen. When A arises, B arises. When A does not arise, B does not arise. And Venerable Mawadgama, my friend Venerable Mawadgama Thera, will tell exactly this is found in Pali Buddha's teachings as a basic sutra, right? Imasming sati idang hoti. Imasming asati idang na hoti. Imasa uppada idang upajati. Imasa nirodha idang nirujati. What is that? When A happens, B happens. When A does not happen, thank you. When A does not happen, B doesn't happen. The same thing. So, science and Buddhism, right, are pursuing the same truth using the same method. And Buddha does not believe anything that we cannot see, anything we cannot touch. He does not make us believe anything like that. In Samyutta Nikaya, the Buddha defines Sabba in Sabba Sutta. Right? Buddha says, Sabba is I and the eye perceivable objects. Chakkuncha rupancha, sotancha saddhacha. Chakku, sota, ghana, jiva, kaya, mano, the 6 sense doors, and the things that come on our vicinity, and our what we can taste, what we can hear, what we can, all that. Buddha says this is what I define as everything. If somebody is looking for something beyond this, he is wasting his words, time, thinking and everything. Utter waste. So, this is what the scientists are interested also. Right? Scientists are empiricists, and Buddha was also an empiricist. Knowing this, the Dalai Lama, right, he was not educated in science actually, although he was trying to bridge science and religion. He didn't attend the school and learn science. What his interest was in psychology. Psychology is the science which is closer to religion. As Buddhists, we also study psychology. Buddhist, there is a thing called Buddhist psychology. What is entirely Abhidhamma Pitaka, right? Is presenting us Chitta Chetasika. Right? So psychology is very close to Buddhism. So Dalai Lama, right, as a Buddhist was very much confident in the Buddhist psychology and Buddhist method of improving our mind is meditation. And so Dalai Lama was very much interested when he became friendly with scientists to find out how the brain of human brain, how does it undergo changes as a result of meditation. So he allowed neuroscientists to come to Dharmashala and to examine the meditators' minds. And he himself volunteered, test my brain also. How has it developed as a result of meditation? So scientifically studied brain, right? And the Buddhist meditation theory, he found lot of similarities, parallels, right? So in modern world, there are many people who spend millions on Buddhist meditation, right? In America, in the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, now it is Massachusetts University, right? There is a professor called John Kabat-Zinn. John Kabat-Zinn has studied one Buddhist sutta, Satipatthana Sutta. He studied this and he made a special psychological course, mind development course, 10-day course. he advertised this, and there was a great demand. So he thought within 10 days nothing can be done. So he developed another course, 10-month course. Now it is a world famous program. It's called MBSR, Mindfulness Based Stress Reduction, MBSR. There are more than 5,000 teachers presently in the Western world who teach MBSR, Satipatthana method. Not your magazine, huh? Dr. Porage is now publishing a very successful medicine magazine, Satipatthana. Right. So this Satipatthana technique actually, right, is translated into English, about 300-page odd book, right. In this book, he has presented the course, very beautifully designed course, MBSR. About 4 years ago, according to the statistics published 4 years ago, $400 million were spent by Americans to pay for this course. So such a popular course. So what is Dalai Lama has done is great work. He allowed scientists to examine human brain and its connection with the Satipatthana meditation, and he has proven to the world that Buddhist psychology is very advanced. This is of course something that has been substantiated by neo-Freudian psychologists as well. They are also studying the Buddha's psychological insight, and recently one of those neo-Freudian psychologists had said that still we are very much behind if you compare the modern psychology with Buddhist psychology. Such a refined, great thinking is this Buddhism, and Dalai Lama took the correct decision, right, to allow scientists to compare, and he was so confident that Buddhism will never be proven unsubstantiated to be. He was so sure no one can sort of bring down the value of Buddhism, whatever science they study. That is why he challengingly said, if Buddhism is proven unscientific, right, I'll no longer continue. So he was very confident of the truthfulness of Buddhist teachings. So I have spent my time allotted. So I would like to wind up, right, again saying that, Venerables, don't fear science. Dalai Lama said, don't fear science is not religion killer. Right? And Einstein also says, religion actually is very useful thing. Right? Masaharu Mori, the Japanese person who studied robotics, he has said, science offers you doubts and proofs. Religion teaches you how to live a beautiful, happy life. So let's have doubts and let's do research on and have proofs. Also, let's live a happy life. So thank you very much for being good audience, and let's all together jointly wish Dalai Lama long life, happy life, right, and to serve human beings more successfully. Thank you.